Bob is 6'4" or 6'5". He's really tall. I'm 5'2", and at 10 years old, I was probably 5 feet. I mean, it's still maybe I don't know, not a very tall person. He got down, like stooped down on his knee and got eye to eye with me. And it was like, hi, I'm Bob. I'm going to be playing your dad and we're going to have a great time. And if there's anything, we can do to have fun and just be comfortable saying these lines, and you just let me know. And he was my friend from day one. I mean, from the first moment I met him. Life is like a roller coaster, but it's better when we go through it together. Welcome to the Candace Cameron Bure Podcast. We're here to share conversations about life's challenges, celebrations, and everything in between. We're learning about becoming better parents with Dr. Josh and Christi Straub. Come join us. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Last week was so good.
This has been so good.
All of it's really good. There's so many things that I have forgotten about during my years of parenting young kids, because I'm in a different season of parenting older kids, which, by the way, some of them are going to join us on some future episodes. I'm really excited about that. But these conversations have been so edifying for me. And it's something that I'm also listening with ears as a potential future grandparent.
Wow.
Because when I'm listening, I think, okay, well, my kids are grown up already.
Yeah.
Like I've already done my season of parenting young. But it's not over. Like if I do have grandchildren, this is a whole new way I can implement what we've been talking about over these past several weeks as a grandparent, and to be able to speak into my sons and daughter and their lives. So I I don't feel like I'm out of the season with adult children. I feel like this is just incredible information I'm going to be able to carry forward and apply to my future relationships.
Well, and I feel like it's it's so true, because whether they're 2, I said this earlier in a previous episode, but whether they're 2, they're 12, they're 22, or they're 52, we still want to relate to our children this way.
Yeah.
And so now what a whole new beautiful perspective you get as a mom with your adult children when they have children, to be able to be present with them, to be able to come alongside them in their emotional overwhelm, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So I want to start this episode with you, because we're talking about entering our child's world and leading in grace in this episode. And so I'd love for you to just share with us a little bit about who the adults were, or who the adults were who entered into your world when you were little, and how they did that.
This is a fun question for me, because I had a lot of adults in my world.
Yeah.
More than I feel like a lot of people did, because I was working as a child. But my mom and dad were very present in my life and were the main focus. But I also had these 3 quote unquote dads or uncles on Full House. And I'll never forget, I told this story, but I'll never forget the first time I met Bob Saget when we shot the pilot, which was actually the second time shooting the pilot of Full House, because he wasn't the original dad.
Whoa.
He was he then came on to it. But when I met him for the first time, Bob was 6'4" or 6'5". He's really tall. I'm 5'2", and at 10 years old, I was probably 5 feet. I mean, it's still maybe I don't know, not a very tall person. But he got down, like stooped down on his knee and got eye to eye with me. And it was like, hi, I'm Bob. I'm going to be playing your dad and we're going to have a great time. And if there's anything, we can do to have fun and just be comfortable saying these lines, and you just let me know. And he was my friend from day one. I mean, from the first moment I met him.
Wow.
And then same with Lori Loughlin and John Stamos and Dave Coulier, just beautiful people, let alone teachers in my life.
Yeah.
And all the other adults working on my show. But I had a lot of adult influences, which I'm very grateful looking back on, were pretty wonderful people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who would you say showed up for you Like when you needed it, who showed up for you?
I mean, my mom, but my mom and dad, but my mom was like the first person always.
Who made you feel confident?
Oh, interesting. I would say more outside influences made me feel confident. I would say some of the friends in my life and people that were more like mentors that really spoke confidence in me. Because I will say that I don't know that my parents were the most confident people. So I learned that from other sources.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then who would get into your world? Who would play with you? Who would get down on the floor? You kind of mentioned Bob maybe, but who would get down on the floor and play with you and enter your world?
I mean, as adults, because I'm like, I have sisters and a brother and my friends. There were always friends. And so playing in that way. But I mean, my mom and dad were just so very present and would do that. But I would say, because I'm the youngest and the baby in my family, I would say that some of my siblings, friends who are always older, I got included in a lot of cool things as the younger kid. And so that was pretty cool to have not like old people, but older kids,
like older peers
that I looked up to.
Yeah. And wanted to
open
be like
up their arms. Yeah. And say, come on in, hang out with us.
Who showed you grace?
Oh, well, my mom. These are all kind of the same answers, but those are the people who are closest to me and around me. But I feel like my mom showed me the most grace. And my mom was a very good listener growing up and had understanding and was very open to, if there was a problem, trying to help, trying to fix it, trying to listen and be compassionate about it.
Was there at any point in your, especially I'd say as a child actor growing up, was there ever a point that you started to question, am I made for this? Am I supposed to do this? Was there ever a point at which you were like maybe questioning yourself, that another adult came in and maybe spoke confidence or truth or encouragement to you?
I remember having those feelings in my teenage years.
Okay.
So not as a young child. It was like, hey, this is fun. For me, acting was like playing soccer or taking tap and ballet. It was the extracurricular activity that I loved. I had fun. I did that. But then once I got into my teenage years and had to decide, oh, what am I actually going to do with my life?
Yeah.
I have to pick a career. Am I going to go to school? Those kinds of things. I remember the self-doubt, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be an actor? Did I just get lucky as a kid? Am I actually, do I have any talent? And that's where some of the struggles came in. But I did have a really special person that I'm still very close to today that spoke so much confidence into my life. And really boosted me up not in an over flattering kind of way, but just like, you can do this. Look what you've already done. Don't let anyone tell you you can't be who you want to be, and do all the things that you want to do. And you wouldn't have gotten this far if there wasn't talent there. And, all those kinds of things. And then I believed them. So I'm like, I'm going to keep going.
Do it. Yeah. And I think it's really good too, because it speaks to what we've talked about in many episodes prior, is that community. And I think as parents, making sure that we surround ourselves with other families and other adults in our children's lives who can also speak truth into them. Because isn't it funny how our kids tend to, we'll say the same thing to our children over and over and over again. And it doesn't feel like it's going in one ear and out the other.
Yes.
But then one other adult happens to come in who says that exact thing. And they're like, hey, mom, hey, dad. And you're like, I've been saying that to you for years.
No, this was my conversation for the last month with one of my kids. Okay. And like between me and Val. So I'm like, how many times have we said it? So guys, it doesn't end even when they're in their 20s. We have the same conversations. It does not penetrate their brain, but someone else comes along. But now I know it. So at least I'm looking, okay, who are the people that my kids consider mentors in their life? Who do they look up to? So then I will ask those people, hey, can you speak into one of my kids? Like, this is kind of what they're thinking about, deciding, or unsure of. I would love if you could speak your wisdom. And of course, those are trusted people in my life. I know they're going to speak wisdom and not craziness.
Yeah.
But that's the secret, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I remember someone teaching us early on, we were parents, that like, imagine, some people actually put it up, but like a 5, picture frame. And like, what are the 5 other influences? Like praying for those 5 mentors into your child's life. Like who's going to fill those frames? Because that's so impactful. Like we can say things till we're blue in the face. And then all of a sudden, like I had a mentor, I remember in high school, she was like one of the youth leaders, and she led a Bible study. And I know that I'm partly who I am today because of her. Like I wouldn't have had the courage to even leave home, like to go away to university. It was because of her influence. And I've thought of that so many times through my life. Like if she hadn't come in, what would have happened? So anyway, just the thought of like praying for that intentionally for each of our kids, that the Lord would fill those frames for them.
Yeah.
Because of how important
and I think outside of parenting, because I've heard those stories over and over with so many people that I know, and even within my children's friends too, where you see them going on one path.
Wow.
And then an outside influence, a good one, comes in, and maybe that's been a youth group leader or just a friend that was involved in Bible study that just kept tugging at that other friend going, come on. And they changed it rerouted their course in the best of ways, and they wouldn't be the people that they are today. So it's another thing, like, as we're talking about leading with grace and entering your child's world.
Yeah.
Yes, we're talking about it from a parent standpoint, but don't think that because you're not the parent that you can't have great influence over some of the children in your life.
In the circles that you're around. And I think it's so beautiful you said that, and this just sparked on me. Proverbs 22:6 is a parenting verse that we throw around in the church all the time. Raise a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. First of all, that verse is a proverb. It's not a promise. And so in other words, we have to pay attention to the fact that these are not promises. If we saw that as a promise, there's 2 things that could happen. Number 1, our children turn out great. Well, then who gets the credit? I do. Way to go, Straub. Good job. Which makes us walk in pride. Well, the other way this could turn out is our kids don't follow the Lord. They go astray. And then who's to blame? Well, me. We walk in shame.
Right.
Whereas when we see this as a general proverb, what I realize is, as much as we've talked about quote unquote research-based parenting strategies, what I would argue is that the number 1 parenting strategy to get the outcomes we desire in our kids is prayer. Praying for our kids, because they have free will. They've been given free will.
Yeah.
But what this proverb is saying, generally speaking, if you can build this structure, if you can, and it's really about the environment we raise our kids in, which is what we're talking about. But it says, raise a child in the way they should go, not the way you want them to go. And this is what we are talking about when we talk about getting into their world. Now, there's a whole hermeneutic here that you can break down so much of this verse. And yes, people are going to be like, well, what about the way they should go? Yes, we understand. We want to raise them according to the truths of Scripture, but we can't live our unrealized dreams through our children and push them into things and try to put them in places that they don't love or it's not their giftings. Right. But we pursue their hearts and we enter their world. And what's fascinating about this is what I love about what you were talking about. When we talk about brain chemistry, the right side of the brain is processing faster than the left side. So the experiential part of the brain, well, that's the part that processes relational connection. It processes identity. And our right brain is processing 6 times every second. It's basically scanning the environment that we're in, and it's helping us form our identity. Like our identity is scanning the environment we're in. And in other words, what it's asking unconsciously is, what would my people be doing in this scenario? What would my people be doing in this scenario? What would so character formation, my people might be my parents. It's my people I look up to, the people speaking into my life. So our character formation, we cannot overstate the environment and the people we're surrounding our children with, because they are unconsciously asking everywhere they are how they react in a scenario. Even before words enter their brain, they're constantly asking themselves, what would my people do? how am I supposed to interact? How am I supposed to react in this moment? And that's why that environment is so important. And the people we surround ourselves is so important for us to be able to enter into our children's world and help build that character formation in that way.
So powerful. But I keep thinking too, it's like, the ones that are coming in, we're talking about entering their child's world. And I think, earlier episodes, we talked about how hard that can be sometimes when they're going through big stuff, even if it's just a little kid with a big emotion, or if it's bigger kids with really big problems, like that makes us feel very intimidated, I think often, and then often overwhelmed because we're taking on their fear, their insecurity, their overwhelm. And I think what was super helpful for me learning early on is I can come in and I am to be bigger and stronger and wise and kind. But I am coming in from that perspective. I'm not coming in as a peer, obviously. I think we live in a generation that really tries to befriend our kids, and they have those. They need a parent. And, that season comes. Like, I feel like you've entered that season where there's like genuine friendship.
Yeah, I'm at that season now, but I did not want to be purposefully. I'm like, I'm your parent.
Yeah.
I want to be friendly with you.
Yes.
I want to be kind and I love you and I want to be with you, but I'm your parent first. I'm not your friend first.
And just making that like a clear delineation. It's like, they're not looking, they need us to be that for them. They need us to come in able to carry.
And I think, even talking about Kennedy when she's in overwhelm, right? It's like, I'm thinking of like, we're talking a lot about emotion. And I know a lot of the questions we get sometimes are, what about neurodivergent kids who have a very difficult time labeling emotion, or they have a very difficult time feeling, or that type of thing. And then I also think about when kids end up in shutdown, like Kennedy would end up in shutdown whenever, if you could speak to that a little bit, I think would be really important. Because what does it look like to enter a child's world when it is very difficult?
Right. Without throwing off your own limbic system. Yeah. Right. Because I think that's the thing is like, we don't want to enter, or so we try to minimize it or bulldoze it or just shut it down because it's too much for us. And I think that is the tricky part, that it feels, it really comes back to like when we talked about becoming, like who we are becoming as adults, like working on that within us. Because if we aren't able to stay regulated, then their big overwhelm at the moment is going to totally trip us. But learning a couple things is, when we talked about that nervous system ladder a few weeks ago, where understanding like when our kids are in fight or flight, so in that really upregulated, like tons of survival energy going on, that state, entering in and entering in their world does not work if we are going to try and minimize how big it feels, which is what most of us honestly try to do, where it's like, but don't worry about that. Like, or like, I need you to calm down. Like nobody calms down when you tell them they need to calm down, right? Right. Because actually what it does is it creates an inverse reaction where it's like, you don't understand then how big this is to me. So I have to, like, the whole system has to get bigger to be like, but nobody understands how awful this feels. So the child often gets bigger. The adult often gets even bigger. As opposed to actually coming in at the level of intensity that they feel. So matching their speed, their intensity with like, I talked about this a couple episodes ago where, our son in the morning was just having a meltdown and was afraid of something, and coming in at that place of like, this must feel so scary, with the intensity that he feels this fear, because all of it, that speaks safety to the system. It's like, oh my gosh, you see me.
And it's not coming in and having to be in agreement with them. It's not like if they're freaking out, you have to come in and freak out with them. You're just saying, wow, this is making you freak out. So tell me all the things that you're feeling.
And like, you don't even know you're doing it right now in your face. You're matching that. It's like, like when we do the big eyes, like, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Like, well, this must feel so big. And we're not saying it is big. It's exactly what you're saying. We're not agreeing with the thing, but we're matching it's that being felt. Like that felt, like you feel me. Like you don't just like understand the words I'm saying, like you actually feel me. And I remember one time, our son came down, and this was not that long ago. So I don't know. He was probably 11. He was reading. We talk about environment in your home. We're pretty careful. We let our kids watch. We're pretty careful. We let them read. But we had gotten them a book. It was like 5,000 interesting facts about whatever, something.
Loves facts.
Loves facts. He's a homeschooled kid. He loves this
Very
stuff,
left brain.
And so
and it's left brain, which is important for this story.
Yeah. So he comes down, but it was like, he was already in bed. We'd put him to bed. I'd probably put them all to bed 3 times by now. It was like 10:30. I'm done. Like, mom is done parenting. I need you to stay in your bed. Right. And he comes in our room, and he's like, Mom. And it's like, I see all the emotion. I see it all. And my instinct is, you're fine. Go to bed. Like, why are you in here again?
Yeah.
And I'm totally frank. That's how I started. I let out, what is it now? Like, what do you possibly need now? And then I saw the big eyes, and it was like, oh, this is big. What is? Yeah. He's like, Mom, I read this book, and I was like, okay, tell me what happened. But I was being like super, like, tell me what happened. I wasn't matching this level of fear in him. And
you were ready for bed.
I was ready for bed. You're right. And he's like, I can't even tell you. And so I'm getting angry, honestly. I'm like, just tell me, what is it? So he's like, I'll go get the book. So he goes upstairs, he brings the book down. He couldn't even tell me, and he hands it to me. And it is like 2 or 3 pages of
paranormal facts about the paranormal.
Yeah. I mean, it was like images of demons. It was images of like witchcraft and like all these things. And I looked at him, and it was one of those like, oh, buddy, like, I get it now. Like, this is, and I took that book and I ripped those pages out so fast and so hard. And I was like, no. And it was one place where I messed up, but then I did correct it, because it was like, I saw how big this was to him. Yeah. And the fear that started to just seed. And so in that moment, we've started taking our kids into more of imaginative prayer, which is Josh is talking about. It's bringing in the right brain. It's not just facts about who God is and feel like even just the word of God and like theology of understanding God, but like encountering him. So I said, Landon, where is Jesus right now? He says that he is with us at all times. Either that's true or it's not. Is he with you? Where is he right now? Where was he when, so he said, I think he's sitting on the bed. And I was like, okay. I was like, look at his face. What is the look on his face? And he's like, starts to describe the look on his face. He's smiling at me, Mom. And I said, okay. So where was he when you read these pages? And he said, I think he was right beside me, like sitting on the bed upstairs. Like, okay. So we went through this whole thing, and he started to pray and ask the Jesus that's actually sitting there right with him, not some figurative thing in the sky. And what does he need to know about what he just read? Is any of that from you? No, it's not. And he said, is Jesus afraid of any of the stuff that you just saw? No, Mom, he's not. Okay. So then we did, and we prayed. We cancel anything that was any spirit of fear that tried to seed into your brain. And we've taught our kids, to pray in that way. And it's like, nope, it doesn't get to stay. And we went through the whole thing, and we finished praying. And he looked at me and he said, Mom, that just changed my life. I was like, okay, bud. And he went upstairs and went to bed and didn't have one bit of fear. And he came down the next morning, and he said to me so casually, he's like, Mom, last night when I read that horrible book and I prayed to Jesus, but I saw him and it changed my life. I was like, yeah, I do. I really do, buddy. I remember. And it was as if like, it was a marker moment, because it was, it was really meeting him where he's at. We're talking about like getting on his level, but also bringing Jesus to his level so that he's not just met by an adult. He's met by the God of the universe, and he knows that he's available to him all the time.
Do you ever get to the middle of your day and you feel like your brain just needs a boost? I spend a lot of time thinking and talking when I'm recording the podcast or when I'm shooting a movie. and my brain gets tired. I've been drinking Magic Mind mental performance shots, and I really like them. Magic Mind tastes great, and it's clean energy with natural ingredients without too much extra caffeine. It goes great alongside your morning coffee or matcha, which is what I drink, or you can take Magic Mind by itself with no crashes or jitters. You can go to magicmind.com/Candace for 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase with the code Candace. We'll have that link in today's show notes. If you don't like Magic Mind for any reason, they'll give you a 100% refund, no questions asked, for 100 days. Our brains are amazing creations, so let's make the most of them. Go to magicmind.com/Candace. Here's to achieving greatness one shot at a time. As fall rolls in, it's the perfect time to get your family together with easy-to-cook, delicious meals. With Good Ranchers, you can make this fall season a game changer. Now, here's the problem. Too much meat at the grocery store is imported and low quality. So when you get a box of Good Ranchers delivered, you're making a choice that aligns with your family's values. Their beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood is 100% from local family farms or fishermen with zero antibiotics or added hormones. It is pre-trimmed, they're individually vacuum-packed, and honestly, much better than what you're going to get at the store. So subscribe to any Good Ranchers box now and get a free add-on for 1 whole year. That's a full year of plain chicken breast, Angus ground beef, Applewood bacon, or wild-caught salmon with every single order. With my code, you'll get $25 off your first box and free express shipping. That's up to $360 in savings. Go to goodranchers.com and use my code CANDY at checkout. And if you need to pause or cancel, there aren't a lot of hoops to jump through, I promise. Good Ranchers makes it really easy because they're confident you'll love every bite. Use my code CANDY today and make this fall truly memorable with Good Ranchers. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered.
I think it's also important too to enter our children's world as it relates to their activities and the things that they're trying to find interest in, especially in the early years of life. And I was a wrestler, so I really wanted Landon to wrestle. Speaking of Landon, and I
Why are all our stories about Landon?
This was a few years ago. It was just this one, but there's a few years ago, and I put him in, and I said, buddy, we're going to try it for 3 months. And there's a part of me that I wish I would have said, let's stick out the whole season. But I said, okay, I'll make a deal with you. Let's try it for 3 months and see how it goes. And he really did. He tried it for 3 months. He did great. Didn't win a match. Didn't get a medal at all. And we get to the end of the year. The 3 months are up. But it's right before where you would go to the sectionals tournament. And this is where you start to go on to like districts, regional, states, things like that. And he wasn't going to get there. But the first tournament, I looked, because you start to see who the kids are in his weight class. And I looked at it and I thought, there's a good chance he could medal at this tournament. And it got this conflict within me as a dad, wanting him to get this medal and feeling the confidence, but also holding to, okay, I said 3 months and now he said he's done and he wants to quit. And so we're in this moment where I'm standing with him, he's sitting down, I'm standing up above him. And so I'm kind of towering over him rather than being at eye level. And I remember looking at him and it was like the Lord spoke to me going, Josh, you're standing over him. You're not entering his world. You know, just simply ask, because he's torn. Like, Dad, I don't know what to do. And he's torn because of me, right? And so, because of my inner chaos at the moment. And I felt like the Lord said to me, just ask him what it would make a difference in his life if he medaled. And so I was like, okay. So I said, buddy, if you go to this tournament and you win and you get a medal, what would happen? And as Landon, our firstborn, would do, he puts his little hand on his chin. He looks up into the sky. He thinks for a moment. He says, Dad, I'd probably take the medal. I'd put it in my closet and I'd move on with my life. Just matter of factly. And I was like, all right, we're not going to the tournament. And so it was one of those situations for me of what can it look like to enter my son's world?
That's a great example.
Just be in his world and come alongside him in what he loves to do. And now today he's finding things that he loves to do in ways that I would have never imagined. So
Well, this is me not entering my child's world.
Please tell.
No, I think about it. I look back now and I don't know if it's because they were older and I just think of opportunity, but Natasha was on The Voice and she was a contestant and there was an opportunity and I pushed her into it. I'm like, they're offering, you can audition for it. It wasn't a guarantee she'd be on the show, but I was like, you can go audition for it. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, no, you need to say yes. You need to say yes. Because as mom, I'm just looking at opportunity and going, who knows what door this could open for you. Right. And she loves to sing. She has a beautiful voice, all of those things. And then I would always tell any of my kids, if something scares you, you have to do it. You've got to say yes. Don't let the fear stop you.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
But looking back, and we've talked about it so many times. So Natasha she got through the first round and then was on Team Adam and then lost in the first round of Team Adam. So the second round on the show or whatever. But I always look and I'm like, she was like, I never even wanted to do that show, Mom.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, sorry. I'm like, I don't think I was living vicariously through you. I think I saw it as opportunity, but she was like, it was the scariest thing. And I know you've always told me if it scares you, I should do it. And that's why I did it. But I wouldn't have even cared if I had done that. I love music, but it's not even my first passion. My passion is acting. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. I didn't get on the level and actually ask her any of those questions. So parenting fail.
Well, it is and it isn't though. Because haven't we, it's just we learned so much. We grow so much. And it's, oh my goodness, the number of we all could just recount oh my gosh. And then that story and that story. And I think that's the grace.
Well, and I think too, to go back to discipline and just making sure to, especially for parents who are in those younger years, a lot of times we can confuse childish behavior and disobedience and see disobedience as disrespect to us as parents.
Yes, that's good
as opposed to what's actually going on in there underneath, what's actually happening that caused them to be disrespectful or disobedient.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to talk about the Kennedy story just briefly about that.
You told this story a few weeks ago. But
I just think it's important to highlight that so that people see that sometimes our children's acting out. Yeah. There's something deeper going on.
Yeah. And you mentioned it, but she was at this little birthday party and with these two other girls and, unbeknownst to us, the kids go off and play and you don't know what's happening. And we go home and she was just acting weird, defiant and not her. That's not her. We have other kids that would do that, but that's not her. And we were both pretty exasperated with her, honestly.
Yeah,
we're just you don't act like this. This is not allowed in our home. You don't, why? But you don't think in the moment to, again, it's always feels personal. You're disobeying me, Natasha with the chocolate. No, you don't get to act like that. And at bedtime, I finally did take some of my own advice, I suppose. And I was like, honey, what is going on? What is really? And so I pull out the little feelings chart and she points to, she pointed to angry first, and then she pointed to sad, and then she pointed to embarrassed. And that's when anger usually, especially if that's what you're feeling big in your home, it's typically a secondary emotion. So it's hiding something much more vulnerable.
Right. It's hurt people.
Yeah.
But I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
When people lash out, it's usually because they're hurting about something.
Yeah. And so, getting into that embarrassment, the girls went in the room, shut the door and left her in the hall to just she was by herself. And just oh my goodness, girls can be mean, boys can be mean, but my heart just broke for her. And all of a sudden, that just disarms the whole conversation. And so we're talking about getting on your kid's level. It's not, again, we're not permitting, allowing the behavior. That's still not okay to act that way. And yet I need to understand where it's coming from. Otherwise, all we're doing is causing really more hurt for our kids. Cause not only are they're already carrying this hurt, and then mom and dad come in with this like wall of discipline or in what feels like judgment to them probably. And they're like, nobody sees me. And I think it works for adult kids too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure like,
This is what we talk about in What Do I Do with Anger, where we help kids understand like when what's going on underneath that anger, like what's happening. So we go back to James 1:19, you're given 2 years, like be quick to listen, be slow to speak and slow to become angry, be quick to, and teaching our kids to be quick to listen to when something feels off. And we use that, like pay attention to when something feels off. And you could even apply this to the last episode on the atmosphere of your home. You talk about the rental house, and it's like when something feels off, let's teach our kids to come to us and say, Mom, Dad, something feels off. And I'm feeling extra irritable and I don't know why. I'm feeling extra angry and I don't know why. Can you help me navigate that? Can you help me? Can we talk about that? And I think that if we could just really get in this rhythm of going, oh, I want to pay attention to when something feels off, because that's when we can learn to take it to the Lord in prayer. It's when we can take it to a trusted confidant. Our kids can take it to us as parents. Christi and I can take it to one another as husband and wife. And I think it's just a really important practice to get into, to really enter our kids' world, but also to help them understand their inner world as well.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add this, because I know people listening, if you are married and maybe do not have an emotionally supportive or emotionally available spouse, want to reiterate the fact that, Christi, what you said, it takes one person, one person. So don't let or allow the unavailability of your spouse to hinder the presence that you can have in your child's life, that you can lean into it. And even if your spouse is not alongside of you and affirming that, you can still speak into asking your child about their emotions and praying with them and talking through that. I just don't want you to be scared that because I know because I felt it over the years. I don't feel that now. However, it can feel lonely when you're like, well, I'm the only one that's spiritually listening or leading in my home. And that can feel not just frustrating, but feel lonely and feel like I don't have the support of my spouse. But you keep on. Like you keep on doing it and you keep praying it, because God will carry you and your children through it.
And I just even praying this prayer, I got this from a book I was reading called The Other Half of Church. Great book. In it, he talks about the face of Jesus and how so many translations, when we talk about joy and talking about as Alan Shore says, whenever you walk into a room and you're the sparkle in someone else's eye. If you feel alone, I just pray that prayer of, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine on you. Imagine, you guys were talking earlier about facial mirroring, mirroring the other person's face, and just imagining his face shining on us and seeing his face. There's a lot of translations they talk about where it replaces God's face with his presence. And it doesn't have the same effect as when you think about his face and what the joy that he has in seeing you. And so I just really encourage you, and I pray that prayer over you now. If you're one of those people who are just like, I feel alone, I pray that his face may shine on you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace as you reflect his face towards you, because he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a listener question. Today it's from Ashley. She said, I'm becoming a stepmom to 2 teenagers in November. And this will be my first marriage. I'm in my early 30s. I don't have any kids. I want to be a godly stepmom and provide love and support, yet also discipline. My fiance wants me to have a role in love, support, and discipline as well. What's the best way to go about it when we disagree on how to discipline the kids? And this is a big answer for me too, because one, it's teenagers. That is just, it's a lot. It's a lot. But being a stepmom I have two very good friends in my life that are stepmoms with, to their spouses' children. And it can be a really difficult dynamic. And I've just seen it play out over the years. And there have been lots of ups, but lots of downs and challenges along the way. So I'm going to let you take this one, Josh.
I'm going to start as a child who went through my teen years with a stepdad and a stepmom.
Okay.
And I think through that lens, I had respect for them, but I had more respect for my mom and dad. And I don't even know, it wasn't that I didn't have respect for my stepdad or my stepmom, but when it came to discipline, I just naturally respected my mom and dad more. I don't know how else to describe that. It's very subjective, but I would say that. And so I think, she asked the question, or she says, my fiance wants me to have a role in love, support, and discipline. And I think that order is the order you want to pursue your teenager's heart in.
Oh, that's
love,
good.
support, and then
That's good.
discipline. And if you don't see eye to eye, there's a degree to which, early on, you're building rapport with those teenagers. You're building relationship with those teenagers. We've talked about this on previous episodes. Obedience always flows out of love. And when we're entering our children's world, when you enter their world, enter their interests, become students of them, become students of their interests. We talk about this quite often. Dr. Stanley Greenspan created this thing called floor time. And basically what he says is that 20 minutes of command-free time a day is gold for a child's brain. So in other words, you just enter your child's world for 20 minutes a day. You do what they want to do. If they want to play Thomas the Train, if they want to play Polly Pockets, if they want to shoot basketball, whatever it is, you enter their world and you don't dictate the play. You can, play a part, but it is gold. And I think that transfers into teenage years as well, where we enter into their world. And so I would just encourage you, become a student of them. Say, I want to learn everything about you. Tell me what you love. What's exciting to you right now? What brings you most joy right now?
Yeah.
And you start there, the discipline stuff will start to take care of itself because they'll come to respect you. They'll come to respect that you enter their world. And I would just always say this, if you don't see eye to eye, don't let them know that you're not seeing eye to eye. Come together with your husband, have conversations on it, and make sure that you're presenting a united front. Don't ever undermine your spouse with your children.
Yeah, I agree. That's great.
So good.
We'll leave it at that. Okay, one more. This is from Joy. She asks, how do I ask for help for me when all I do is help others?
You just did.
She did.
She just did. The way you just asked that question, Joy. I think that's such the heart of a mom. Like, so many women are so quick to step in. And then we wonder, what I hear in the second part of the question, when all I do is help others, is there is a hidden resentment there. There's it starts to seed bitterness. And we don't want that. Like, we're not actually helping at that point. It's not actually out of love at that point. It becomes this sort of cynical, resentful.
And feel a little Mary and Martha.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And so you did. And I think there is a part of that, I think, as women, is reclaiming our voice. We're very easy. We find it easy, maybe easier to hand things out versus to the arm also goes the other way. We have to pull things back where we ask for things for ourselves. And you can't just be stuck like this all the time. It's this mutual ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful, I think, example of where community steps in.
Yeah. And I also think that there are probably more people, Joy, in your life than you even realize that would actually love to help you. But if you need to reach out and let someone know.
Yeah.
And if you can, let a few people know. And, we talked about this with Jenny last season, but you can just give a little bit of vulnerability. You don't have to give everything. You can give a little bit of information to someone and maybe a little bit to a different friend. And then if you feel comfortable, if you feel confident that they are trusted, then you can give a little bit more. Yeah. And I will tell you, when I've been asked for help in the past, And it comes out of just a feeling of desperation. You know, they don't want to ask for help or shame or whatever that feeling is. But it's like, oh my goodness, I would love to help you. Yeah. You're allowing me to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Yeah. You're allowing me to answer a prayer. Yeah. Or in some way, not just help you, but honor God. That makes me, there's so many people like, and I've even said, I'm like, if you don't ask, you might be almost taking away the blessing that could be provided that someone wants to give you. Yeah. But I understand usually when you don't ask, there can be concerns of not feeling safe or not trusting people, but you know, maybe just give a little inch.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
So
okay.
good.
Thanks for your question, Joy. Another great week. We'll be back next week. Make sure to join us. And remember, Josh and Christi's book, Famous at Home, is linked at Candace.com. And you can also get the free PDF called The Healthy Home Guide. It's a simple resource to help you understand emotions in your family. So go to Candace.com to find the link. It's also in our show notes. Until next time, be grateful all day, every day. If you value local, trustworthy, and high-quality food, now is the perfect time to join the Good Ranchers family. I was thrilled when my first Good Ranchers box showed up and it was all still perfectly frozen. And what I really love about Good Ranchers is their commitment to transparency. They believe you have the right to know exactly what's in your food. I mean, hello. And they're also amazing supporters of this show. Good Ranchers sources all of their meat from local U.S. farms, so you're getting the best of the best. No antibiotics, no added hormones, just pure, delicious meat you can trust. And do you ever notice when you're in the store, when you buy chicken or beef, it costs more and the portions way less every time you buy it? But imagine having top quality, 100% American beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood delivered right to your door. Just head over to GoodRanchers.com and subscribe to any box to unlock savings. Good Ranchers is where you can get 100% USA grown meat you can trust that's tender and full of flavor every single time. With meat prices continuing to go up and the quality at the store going down, Good Ranchers can save you hundreds. Your taste buds, your wallet, and local ranchers will thank you. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered. Hit the thumbs up on this video. It helps the channel grow. And forward this video to a friend you think will like it. CandyRock Entertainment, all rights reserved.